Hi Gemini, welcome to your March 2018 Life Path Update. It's Raina here. So I'm going to be doing an oracle card reading this time. I'm not even going to be using tarot cards. I've been doing this type of reading to be a little bit different and be more philosophical and just possibly give messages that may resonate with you based upon what's been going on in your mind about your life. But before I begin, I want to address something that came up in a comment to me earlier today on my channel, and I'm probably going to put the same little message in front of the rest of these life path readings for this month, which is somebody wrote I assume it's a rather innocent comment, said it would be nice to see the cards being shuffled and, put out like that. And I can't shuffle, the way that some people can really do that professional type of shuffling, or whatever you want to call it. But I do shuffle while I'm talking. Like right now I'm not shuffling because I'm going to be putting out different decks. But I do sometimes like take the whole deck and kind of like go like that and let the cards just fall on the thing and then pick them up in front of the camera. And if I feel like it, if the tripod is set up in a way that I can do that, then I will do that more often, or at least as much as I used to. Lately there's been kind of I just spent some time right now just trying to get this thing situated, and I don't have one of those overhead kind of I don't know what they are, like a boom kind of a tripod or whatever that you can put the camera. And quite frankly, that would be very complicated for me because I like to be able to be in a position where I can see in front of me what the camera is picking up. And so the bottom line is that either you trust in my, that you think I have integrity, or you don't. And also I said to this person that that's not the point of doing these readings, isn't to prove, yes, I am a psychic, I'm this great psychic. I never call myself a psychic, not at all. And that I have all the answers to your life. No, never said that, never would. The whole idea is not to get hung up on these outer things. It's to look at the messages that are being delivered, and do they relate to your life, and do they feel right for you? And ultimately, you have your own intuition, you have your own life path to live, and nobody else does. So it's really, that's the thing to focus on, not about how I'm doing my readings, because, if you, maybe, I don't know what kind of spread I did for her sign. Maybe it just seemed too good to be true, but most of the time, it's not always just sweetness and light. So I thought it was kind of funny that I got that particular request, because I understand it, but I still, to me, it implies that you have to, I have to prove that I'm really legit, and I don't have to prove that. So I don't know if you can hear it, but I'm shuffling right now. That's that sound. So I'm, by the way, I should tell you the decks I'm going to be using. This one is the Energy Oracle deck from Sandra Ann Taylor. I'm going to be picking a card from Keepers of the Light, Kyle Gray, and what else? Earth Magic deck. Let me, actually, I'll just set these down. Let me pick a card from the Law of Attraction deck, which can be the affirmation for this reading. Or for March for you if you want. Receptivity. I am open in my heart and mind to receiving the blessings I deserve. So important when you're looking for success, abundance, I mean, you would be surprised at how many people probably, you know, who feel like they have never had success in their lives. When it does finally arrive, it can feel very uncomfortable. If you fall in love with somebody that is really respecting you and you've had a history of bad relationships, it can be scary to find somebody that doesn't treat you badly, because it kind of obliterates all of that story that you tell yourself about life, and it makes it false all of a sudden. Okay, I got this card, and they do have reversed. Excuse me, because I just got up in the morning. That's why my throat is like. Okay, see, this is. I don't have that much space to do this stuff. I got so many decks that you can't see that are right off the camera. Okay, this is the Earth Magic deck. Oh, interesting. Reminds me of the Six of Cups, in a way. Okay, and then probably my favorite oracle deck, the Keepers of the Light. Let's see what I get here. I'm going to shuffle, obviously. We'll put this down here. All right, let's begin. I'm going to just, even though it's reversed, I want you to see the picture. This card reversed indicates feelings of isolation and perhaps loneliness. There may have been a recent disconnect with old associations and even a dissolution of some wider partnership. This may result in feelings of loss and grief, but take heart. It is often the case that as you shift your energy into a higher vibration, you may find that you no longer resonate with old acquaintances the way you used to. If that is the case, it may be time to move on to more resonant associations. Let yourself network in ways that reflect your higher intentions. Meditation groups, classes, book clubs, and the like are all places you may meet new acquaintances, especially for Gemini book clubs. This is great advice that are in closer harmony to you. You needn't allow your isolation to continue. It may take some conscious effort on your part, but now is the time to reconnect, network, and gain the sense of support that you are looking for. And then the affirmation is, I open my life to the wonderful people around me. I am making strong and beneficial connections in both my personal and professional life. Gemini is a sign. All the air signs are very social beings, social creatures. And, one of the main reasons why is you love to talk. So anything that stimulates your mind, like a book club, that would be like a biggie that I never suggest to people. I should do that more often. But a spiritual, I really feel like the spiritual angle is so important. I just went to a workshop the other day. It was actually more like like a longer meditation session. And some of these things, even when you're not having conversations with people, but just that unified experience, that to me is worth more than being at a cocktail party and just talking about, small talk, and that you really don't care about, but you're just trying to be polite. So that kind of thing. So if you feel like you haven't been Maybe you moved to a new city. Maybe you have broken up with your partner and you are just in a totally, you lost that social network with, associated with your spouse, or maybe you're widowed. All of these avenues can be kind of shifted and even made more meaningful than perhaps they were before. So let's look at the Earth Magic card of Innocence. And I'll just show you the picture. And you see that light in the pond. And the children are looking at the light, like almost like it's a spiritual, like they can sense the spiritual experience in it. The light from the heavens fall upon the children through the rays of the sun that illuminate their presence like a spotlight. The little girl reaches out to these bright beams, and these elements together portray an idyllic childhood activity for many of us who have had the privilege of exploring the natural world. The blanket of lush meadow grass embraces a small pond, which leads to a more distant valley, one that is darker and shrouded by the very clouds that also produce this remarkable play of light. In their exploration of the world, it's inevitable that these children will at least at some point lose their original innocence. It doesn't have to be a permanent loss, however. We don't need to live in constant fear in anticipation of such an event, nor do we have to reconcile the loss of that state of purity by constantly romanticizing the past and missing out on the present. The wisdom and faith we've accrued from our life experiences are keys to recapturing that state of innocence. The light that will guide us through any dark passage is a light of spirit from within that connects us with Source. Finding our innocence once again, we become aware that it was never lost, just forgotten. Innocence is not simply the lack of guilt or shame, but a quality in itself, one that you naturally possess when you first come into this existence. There are challenges you have faced throughout life that have further shaped your personality and character. You have also likely encountered moments following a disappointment or loss when you turned sour or cynical, and no doubt have had times when layers of anger or fear block the flow of your vitality or life force. Yet in spite of all of this, there is a core of innocence that you can reawakening by releasing any shame that has covered over the truth of who you are. Take any opportunity to heal this shame and let it go so that you can revisit that state of purity. Doing so helps you see every moment with fresh eyes and removes the filters that inhibit your light and love from coming forth. You are truly a child of God, so allow yourself to be that. And it doesn't, I think that it's not just about shame. I think that it's about trauma, for some people, especially if something very heavy like death, that can be a big one, where the death of a parent, the death of a sibling, the death of somebody close, that is not handled well especially, but just the actual experience can be like this before and after effect where everything changes in that moment. And a lot of times a child who experiences the death of somebody close to them, they will grow up too soon. They will have that, and it can lead to cynicism, especially disconnecting from God because of that sense of why did this happen, blaming God for this terrible event. So it's very important to, if you have something that you feel really shuts you off from that innocence, it doesn't have to be just shame. Shame can come in the form of any type of abuse. And I think especially we would say sexual abuse is associated with shame because of the secrecy. But no, that's not necessarily true. Even if you have, if you had a parent who had an addiction, that can feel very shameful. You can hide, not invite friends over. These are things that stay with a person, and they kind of develop similar habits when they're adults that kind of were coping mechanisms when they were children, that to handle this double life, if they had like kind of a double life. So that childhood innocence goes away, because the whole idea of childhood is that you're not self-aware. You're just free to be yourself. And whenever you feel that sense of self-consciousness, or I have to keep a secret, I have to hide, that kind of chips away at your innocence. The only thing that I would say about, I'm not going to pick on Earth Magic deck, because they're wonderful. They give us wonderful things to talk about. But in general, in any kind of self-help book or a spiritual book, they always say get rid of the shame, but they don't tell you how, do they? Most of the time. Sometimes they do. They give you action steps that you can take. Now, what would I say that you could do? I would say first self-inquiry. Look at, question the feeling itself. I think that Geminis could be very good at this. Question the validity of the feeling of shame, because feelings are instinctual and they are triggerable. And so every time that you have a wave of those feelings, question it. Every time that you try to make yourself into this very overly serious adult and don't allow yourself to play, question it. Why can't I? I'll look foolish. Oh yeah? Why does that matter to you? Why does somebody else's opinion of you matter? And just get at the heart of the matter. And then, there's other things you can do. Some people do conventional therapy. Some people choose energy healing, where they want somebody to kind of look at their auric field or their chakra system and see if there are blockages that are connected to traumas and disappointments. Some, not everything is a trauma, but it can still possibly create blockages within us. And, there's different, maybe even physical massage therapy, but there's like these, I don't know how you pronounce this, cranial, it starts with an S, sacrum or something. I was thinking of trying that myself. That looks very interesting. But there's this one, I don't know if that's that one, where they kind of do these adjustments, and then it's supposed to release trapped emotions. And I think that would be very interesting to try that sometime. So there's all kinds of things that you can do that are not necessarily mentioned in these types when they give advice like this. So hopefully that gave you some food for thought. And then the last card is the Holy Spirit. Expect miracles. Remember that only love is real. Miracles will occur naturally. Spirit has your back. You can say the universe has your back. I might get those cards too by Gabrielle Bernstein. They look very interesting. Okay. According to the spiritual text, oh wow, this is pretty synchronistic, because I was just about to say that Gabrielle Bernstein, she had a book called Spirit Junkie, which is a really good book. I recommend it. But she got involved with Satnam Yoga, which I'm not into Kundalini. It's a Kundalini yoga. That's not like my thing particularly, but she's also, the context, I think, of a lot of her teachings are based on A Course in Miracles, and I was going to say that. right before I read this, so that's kind of like a sign for me, I guess. According to the spiritual text, A Course in Miracles, the Holy Spirit meditates between illusion and truth. It's the essence that allows us to move beyond the illusion of fear or the illusions that our fear has created. It's the holiest light of truth and love that we can ever experience, an aspect of our truest self, the self that is never separate from God. When it appears in a reading, prepare for the miraculous. Expect the unexpected. Expect miracles. A real turnaround is possible now. Angels are dancing around you. Leave behind thoughts, memories, and feelings that are no longer serving you, and remember the love that you are. Move into your heart and allow that love to shine out into the world. Then miracles can happen. I love this card. You know, that's the other thing that I want to say before I go. Talking about childhood and innocence. I find that some people, and I don't know if this is connected to their childhood or just having a negative mindset in general, like an overly negative mindset. But some people, you know, I read it online all the time, or I hear people saying things. Oh, I'll never win the lottery because, you know, I've never won it before. I always like to, you know, or, you know, that's really not a good example, because the lottery mentality can be somebody who is investing money in something that usually they're not succeeding in, and they are not really aligned to their own gifts that they have for the world. I'm not saying that everybody who gambles is like that, but if that's the case, if that's the only way they can think of, you know, think about the people who win the lottery. A lot of times it seems to me that there are people that have been very hard workers in their life, not people that are looking for the easy way out. They're people that have really, you know, must have dedicated a good portion of their lives to getting up every morning, going to work, and maybe their jobs a lot of times were not that easy or pleasant even. Working in a factory, working, you know, in, you know, manual types of labor. And so it's always nice to read those stories where they get a chance to do it, but it's not that easy to receive the money as well. That has its own challenges. Just like I said at the beginning, receptivity. Some people can't handle receiving blessings because they feel it's so unfamiliar to them. And that's one of the reasons why some people who gamble and win end up squandering their winnings, even if it's millions and millions of dollars within a short period of time. So, having said that, you know, that might not have been the best example using gambling. But anything in life, a lot of people have a mindset that there's only certain things that they can expect for their life to occur. And that is a real lie. You have no idea what tomorrow is going to bring. No idea. So that's why, you know, it doesn't make sense not to expect miracles. You know? It just doesn't make any sense. Why? I remember Dr. Wayne Dyer, he said something that always stuck in my mind. If you have the choice to think a good thought and one that is like the opposite of that, countering whatever that is, why would you ever think that negative thought? If you have a choice to think that a miracle is going to happen, why would you choose to not think it's going to happen? I know why, because people want to protect their hearts. They've been disappointed many times before, and they don't want to be hurt again. So it's easier to be cynical, I guess. But you have to fight against that. And with Gemini, it's your mind turning into a weapon. You know, analyzing yourself out of any kind of magic in life. So don't do that, Gemini. Okay, I hope that you enjoyed this. And if you would like a private reading, I have many different types, including astrological readings. Please Check me out at rainamoonastrology.com. That's with an AI, like rain, and the link is actually below. Take care. Bye.